I do want to get your perspective on Bivol and Beterbiev. It's a very interesting fight. Both are undefeated. Beterbiev, the only guy left at 100% knockout ratio. Every person who stepped in the ring with him, he's stopped. Bivol, though, master boxer, is gonna, I would think, use his speed, his footwork. But what's the breakdown, the synopsis from Roy in that fight, man? Because a lot of people are going back and forth. They don't know who to pick.
Yeah. My synopsis is this. Beterbiev is a great puncher, but he's been down a few times. What does that tell me? A lot of people say it was balance. People say it was this. People say it was that. In my humble opinion, if you've been down 2 or 3 times already, being the puncher that you are, it means either when you're punching, you leave yourself in a bad position and people are catching you, or you don't take as good a punch as you throw. Both would be a mistake fighting Bivol because he stays fundamentally sound with his feet and he stays fundamentally sound with his hands. He's a very disciplined fighter. He's always going to be in shape, and he's always going to be Dmitry Bivol. So if you do anything out of the ordinary, such as throw too hard to get yourself off balance, or don't take a punch as well as you throw a punch, you're going to lose to Bivol. If you can go out there and smash Bivol early or give him to an exchange early and knock him out, that's not out of the picture because we're talking about a guy with a 100% knockout ratio. You understand me? So anything can happen. Me, however, I feel like in 10-ounce gloves, nobody wants to truly be hit by a decent puncher, right? Bivol punched hard enough to keep Canelo in check, right? Canelo's been one of the pound-for-pound best for a long time now, right? So what make me think that Bivol does not punch hard enough to either catch Artur when he's either off balance or just catch him, period, and hurt him as well. So in a sense, it's like, it's a you pick 'em, but it's who hits who first. Who can withstand whose punch? If Bivol can take Arthur's punch, Arthur gonna have problems. If Arthur can take Bivol's punch, Bivol had to work for a long time. But if Bivol can't take Arthur's punch, that 100% knockout ratio gonna stay. Me personally, I think Bivol's feet are gonna be the key. I think his feet are gonna keep him out of the wrong exchanges with Arthur. And I think his feet are also gonna be what make Arthur pay when Arthur misses with big shots.
Because I know you're like a boxing historian, Roy. Like historically, does it usually go the side of the guy that has the quicker feet, the better feet, the quicker hands when they go against a power puncher like that?
Sugar Ray Leonard, Tamara
It was close. It was close. That
Sugar Ray
first
Leonard,
one, but
Tamara
he ended up winning. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You think it's very, very similar style wise to that?
Not like that. It's
Yeah.
different because these guys from the Eastern Bloc are different than what we are on this side of the world. So style-wise, it's a little bit different because they both are very good technicians. They both understand and know the game backwards and forwards. They both are very good at what they do. So it's a little bit different. These guys are not as swaggy as Sugar Ray Leonard and Tammy Hearns were, but they're a lot more disciplined in their skill than Sugar Ray Leonard and Tammy Hearns were. So it's a different type of a chess match.
I wonder if Bivol's going to find himself in a "you're blowing it, son" moment.
You won't find yourself in that moment because
Yeah, I don't
if you're
think
blowing
so.
it, if you're blowing it, it's gonna be blowed already with Arthur. You don't get a chance to be blowing it. And once he hit your head, you sleep. So if you blowing it, it's gonna be blowed by the time they get to tell you that.
Yeah, very true. It's not going to
Arthur
take a
can,
lot of
hey,
punches from him.
Arthur can punch. You understand me? If they gotta tell you you blowing it with Arthur, you probably already blew it because he hits too hard for that.
I know these pound for pound discussions are just discussions. You know, they don't really count for anything. But no, given his track record, given that he's the smaller guy, like, would you place him at number one, or still you wouldn't place him at number one?
I couldn't place him at number one because nobody's ever beat Bud Crawford either. You feel me? So I can't place him number one. But he would go 2 or 3 because for his size and what he's doing to his opponents, and some of these guys are not necessarily bad opponents, but the way he's doing it says that he's definitely in that top 3 pound for pound without a question. I don't care how big you are.
Yeah,
When you got the hey, when
he's
you
a
got the
phenom.
goods, when you
Yeah.
got the goods, you got the goods.
What do you think ultimately beats a guy like that? Is it size or just age, time?
Probably size and time. Either fight somebody too big for him, or just father time had to catch up with him.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
guess
we got
we'll
we got
see.
we got yeah, we got to always think about it, man. Like I tell people, I don't care what they think about it, but the fact of the matter is, who have we ever seen take a guy and TKO him, a top ranked fighter, TKO him with arm shots? Roy Jones Jr., Eric Harden. That's it. Now some guys done it after that, but before that, we ain't never seen nobody TKO a fighter by beating his arm. How much? I mean, what? Who's pound for pound better? Knock a guy with his hands behind his back. What?
And then a hook. Boom.
You feel me? Come on, bro. I mean, it's crazy. But Anyway definitely has this kind of capabilities in him. He has the possible chance of becoming something that we've never seen before because he does have a lot of those kind of traits in him. So if he gets the right opponents and gets to pull more out of him, God pulls more out of him for us to see, he could become one of those guys who does things different than anyone ever has before, like somebody else we know. So we'll see.
I would imagine you've been keeping abreast of the news of what's happening in the boxing landscape. A lot of changes, especially with the disruption that Turkey Al-Sheikh has done in the boxing game. He wants to lower pay-per-view cost. He's putting on these big fights. How do you see this all shaking out in the next few years, Roy?
Honestly speaking, I don't really get that deep into it. It's gonna be a lot of changes, I'm sure, but he has the type of money that could change it. The only thing is once again, it's gonna be good for the guys that are at the top level. It's gonna be rough for the guys who are at the bottom trying to get to the top because he may accidentally create a bigger gap. For instance, guys like Jerry Anderson, who are gonna slowly develop and get up there, you take them around and skip over that development stage and put them up there, and look what happens. So you got to be really careful how you move these guys. There are reasons that people know how to move guys. There's a reason why certain promoters like a Top Rank and a Golden Boy know how to properly position these guys to get them to the top. You understand me? That's very important. Sometimes we think, oh, we want to see the big fights. Yes, we do. But we want to make the guys big, get them to that spot first. Then you make a big fight. So we got to bring an A side and a B side to the top. Now they meet to find out which one was the best. Or A East and an A West, or A North and an A South, one or the other. But you can't just take these guys who are on their way and just because you got the money, skip the ladder and jump to the top because they're not going to succeed usually.
He has plans to make a boxing league where he has, I guess, a majority of the fighters under one umbrella, similar to the UFC. Do you think that can work given the structure of boxing?
It probably could, but the fact that boxing is so much older and boxing has always been bona fide or solidified by being a title holder, it's going to be tough unless you get one title and everybody has the opportunity to vie for the title. Because in boxing, everybody had a chance. UFC, you got to get on the UFC or get in the UFC to have a chance. You can't get in, you don't have a chance. You understand me? Boxing was not that way before, but now because of the way the UFC is, it may be forcing boxing to make a change. The good thing is that boxing fans will get the fights that they want to get. The bad thing is that a lot of guys that would get those opportunities, or the guys that would not normally get the opportunity, they won't get those opportunities anymore.
Because of the new structure, how it is.
Exactly.
Is it good to have a single organization in boxing, or is it good to have more or less how it is now in terms of competition?
To me, it would be good to have a single organization because of competition. But once again, we got a single organization. It's harder for that single organization to keep up with all the fighters. That's why so many different outbreaks from the UFC have happened. You got the UFC, you got all these other different rival companies that do fighting because there are so many guys that one organization can't house them all. So with boxing, one organization is not going to be able to house all the guys. That's why there's so many organizations there, because you can't house all the guys. Now, if one organization is bigger than the rest, which the UFC is, then good, do a good job and get most of the people and most of the fans because it can house the household names better. But there are sometimes when it gets rid of these household names go to other platforms and become just as big. Ngannou, about the fact that the guy now, the big guy, that's not UFC. That's on something else. But it's a really huge fight. You understand me? So, I mean, it's just different things that come about, and it's going to bring about different changes, but it don't necessarily mean it's going to make it better. Now, we may get more of the fights that we want to see, which would be good, but the little guys are still going to suffer.
Mm. How do we avoid that then, Roy? What would you propose needs to happen?
I would have to think about it because I haven't thought about it anymore. I haven't thought about it because it's like when you're in boxing, when you're fighting, you think about all those things. When you're not fighting, you kind of don't worry about those things. You kind of just try to do what you do to get your guys to the level where they can't compete. But I haven't really thought about that yet because I don't have a guy, or it hasn't taken enough place for me to really see what the landscape looks like. There will have to be something for the small guys still to be able to compete and have an opportunity to get an opportunity. You understand me? So one organization may not be the answer. However, three or four, like we had four. When I was around, we had three. Um, Three organizations with proper ranking systems without the payola stuff and all, that may make it good enough. Because we had a WBA, WBC, and IBF, and even if you add a WBO, you got four organizations now that kind of can have their own champion. It gives people four chances to become champ. You understand me? Every now and then you want to have an undisputed champ, but then you got to break it back off and let it start again. Let that fire rebuild. And so that's a beautiful thing for boxing when it happens that way. And it also gives other people opportunities to become champion. You think about it, back in the Ali days, there were other guys that probably could have been heavyweight champions, but because Ali was the champ, they didn't have a chance. You understand me? So you give other people opportunities because there's more than one belt or one way to become champ. When you take that away, you're gonna kill a lot of opportunities. You're gonna kill a lot of dreams. And that's not what boxing has always been about.